Hello and welcome everyone to a non-game video this week.
Non-game?
Not game.
How possible?
Yeah, we're going to talk about anime instead, a topic that's never controversial or a problem.
Non-game, only cartoon.
Yep. Hi, I'm Talen Lee, he, him.
Hello, I'm Foxley, she, her.
And we watched a bunch of anime in 2024, and we like to take things slow and reflect on it after we've watched it. So we're going to talk to you about the stuff from 2024 we liked and that maybe you should check out if you like our tastes or our dynamic.
We like to wait until things are done before we watch them because we've been hurt before.
Yeah, and I mean, I've said in the past that if I had a problem with anime with it, like if I didn't like anime that had a bad ending, I would like 5 anime. And that's
It's
a number
true.
I've revised upwards in recent years.
Well, I mean, they released another Naoki Urasawa anime, so...
Yeah, and Summertime Rendering, because the joke used to be 3. Hey! Anyway, 2024 was not, in my opinion, a particularly strong year for anime, though that may just be because most of what got put out was garbage.
Sorry, caught me by surprise there.
So we're going to talk about it, and there's some stuff that was definitely I can understand high quality, but I'm not here for it. So shall we begin?
Yeah, listen, this is entirely us opinion based, so if you disagree with anything we have to say about anything on this list,
Well, you're clearly wrong.
well, I was gonna say hooray for you. That's lovely for you to have opinions. You are not required to listen to us.
I'm very happy, and by the way, I'm very happy to hear you if you've got some insight into a thing that I tried and didn't watch for some reason. That sounds cool. I'd love to know why you love a thing. Just don't necessarily approach it with the attitude of well, you're wrong for not liking a thing.
I've got some things on this list entirely because I wanted to yell at them.
Speaking of yelling at things, gushing over magical girls, aka
Maho shoujo ni akogerete.
yeah, and I love how you got more soft toned when you got like subtly whispering to the microphone the name of this anime. So I watched one episode of this anime.
Oh, you actually checked it out.
Yeah, and had a reaction yeah, I get it. It's not for me, and moved on with my fucking life.
I didn't check this out because I'm very much in the camp of if I'm gonna watch hentai, I'm gonna watch hentai.
Yeah, and you and Arcada can have that opinion. It's alien to me, but I get it. You're very purist in your particular pursuits on that front.
This is not an opinion that has to apply to anyone else, but
Hey.
I don't want softcore.
Yeah.
If I'm that horny.
Yeah,
then...
well, the thing with gushing over magical girls, and the reason I wanted to mention it here is that's what you do when you see an anime that you're not into.
Yeah,
you move on with your
move
life.
on. Yeah.
Because I have watched some deranged opinions about this anime. Because get this. In Gushing Over Magical Girls,
Uh-huh.
right?
Mm-hmm.
There are teenagers,
Uh-huh.
and they're horny.
Oh, that's very different from most anime that I've seen.
Yeah, and Gushing Over Magical Girls is remarkable in that it is explicitly an ecchi anime that targets a girl who is into other girls and has kink. And I gotta let you know, for all of you who are clutching your pearls going, oh no, it's training. No, teenagers with kinks exist. They already exist. Trust me. They are already out there living amongst you even as you speak. Even teenagers, you may know.
I feel like it's very inappropriate to say on air how early I was aware of my kink.
Yeah, don't.
Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. but in the specific case of Gushing Over Magical Girls, it deserves a special mention this year for just spawning a special kind of unhinged nonsense from people who I would normally think of being adults. But further to that, it just so happens that once again, it's an anime which is about women into women that gets held to a really high standard. I'm sure there's nothing about that is following a trend.
Nope. You can tell it's entirely genuine because, cishet anime don't sexualize teenagers at all. They're fine for that, actually.
So,
Oh, look at that.
Delicious in Dungeon, a.k.a.?
AKA Dungeon Meishi. Which I will always call Dungeon Meishi because the English title sucks.
Okay.
It doesn't work. Delicious in Dungeon. It would have made more sense as just Delicious Dungeon, but nope, they gotta stick the in there, and now it's just weird. I hate it.
I'm beginning to think English isn't these people's first language.
Shut up, you! That's not what this is about. Anyway, I quite enjoyed this show. It's not like my favoriteest anime ever. Boy, is it nicely made, though. Like, this is really well produced. I thought I was going to like this for the chill in dungeon vibe. But it turns out that part was pretty boring. But I quite liked it once the actual shit happening in dungeons started happening.
So once again, Studio Trigger are good at making an anime.
I know! You wouldn't believe it. And also, I have some news for you, Talen. Also, these bump of chicken folks make a banger OP. You know that?
Yeah. It'll come up again later this year, but there are certain like bands where we've talked about, like, if you just watch the anime that this band is associated with,
not a bad choice.
You get a pretty good trend.
Yeah.
And the biggest delta for that I know of at the moment is Saika, who do the opening for Waterkoi and Pretty Boy Detective Club. Moving on.
Sumika,
my bad.
But good candidates. Yeah. Anyway, I probably don't need to evangelize this show at all because I feel like everyone has already seen it and they know very much whether they like it or not.
If you had to pitch Delicious in Dungeon quickly, what would you say?
Everyone in this show is extremely normal-brained, and if you have ever treated your monster manual as a menu for the sake of comedy, there is probably something here for you to enjoy.
Okay. Cool. Mashal, a.k.a.
Marshall.
You had to put the accent on it. You had to put a little stink on it.
Well, I mean, if you pronounce it the way we would say it, the pun doesn't really work.
No.
But if both of those sounds are then it works great.
Sure.
So, there you go.
Yeah. Mashal got kind of like... Mashal already had an anime in the works. Like, it already had an anime announcement, and it was already like a well-known thing. But this is the year that Mashal's big get your attention appearance was, and particularly it got an opening by Creepy Nuts.
I was gonna say, did it get Bumper Chicken as well? No, it got Creepy Nuts, of course.
No, not straight over you, not straight over your plate, straight over my plate with Creepy Nuts.
Who are also strong contenders for the if you only watched anime with opening themes by.
Yeah. The thing is, Mashal's a long hauler, so I didn't watch this anime. What this anime made me do was go, alright, yeah, fine, I should probably check out to see if I like this manga or not, see where the story's going. Because if it's a long hauler, I don't want to sign up to watch an anime that's going to take years to finish, and then, at the end, fart its ending. Like, I don't want to... I did my time with Bleach, alright? Yeah.
Yeah, it still hurts.
Yeah. And, so... What the Mashal anime did this year was got me to read the Mashal manga. And here's the problem. It's really good.
Really good. Hey, that's great for you.
The pitch of Mashal is that it's your magical boarding school fantasy setting with a privileged overclass of mages bullying an underclass of not mages. And into this mix we have Mash, who is a completely non-magical human who has been raised outside of the society that treats wizards with respect and gets people used to their daily dose of bullying. And Mash is a very normal-brained boy who is able to hyper-focus his way through problems. And one of the problems is, I haven't exercised enough. So Mash just does all the lifts and all the squats and all the thrusts and all the things. And it's your One Punch Man kind of scenario of like, what if one person just trained the hardest? And normally I'm not here for that kind of story. But also in this story, everyone Mash opposes is a complete turd. So it's a very fun instance of watching people trying to bully a dragon.
Okay.
It is just like, it just needs one more idea in its head than it initially looks like it's got, and it's a pretty good show, and it is a pretty good show. I don't like, you know, I'm not going to say like, oh no, you definitely need to go out there and read it, but I enjoyed it, and it's got some good ideas, and the world building is a little bit more thoughtful than it initially looks. But, you know, it's a really strong example of a mid-story.
I have mostly avoided it because of the character designs.
Yes. Yeah. This is you get exactly what you get. Every character is like this level of artistic expression. It's not a matter of like Mash is not a different species to the rest of the people he meets.
This is clearly what it wants to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not fussed about it.
Now, with our I guess veggies out of the way, let's actually have something nice.
Oh, we're skipping straight to dessert.
It's true. It kind of is our dessert. Yes, this is a sign of affection. Or...
Yusaki Torenren.
Yes, which I understand is a very pretty name because it means fingertips and affection.
Is that what it is? I wondered if literally, like, sign language in Japanese was like finger speak or finger words or something like that.
It might be. This one got me to read its manga as well, and its manga has translator notes and notes from the sign language interpreters who helped contribute to the piece. So I've learned a lot about it, but you know what? That specific question just out of my head.
Almost certainly not if you got that translation for it.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a different pun in Japanese.
Well, it's...
because obviously this title was chosen for its punniness.
Sure, but Japanese has synonyms. So it might well be that fingertips also is the word for the language of sign, and it's all contextual. Anyway, so hey Fox, want to pitch this anime to me?
Put me on the spot, why don't you? I don't know, it's just a really fucking cute romance anime about fucking adults.
Yeah.
Being adults and having adult relationships. And it's very cute.
Like adult relationships in that at one point a character has to reschedule a date because they need to get a haircut. Not adult relationships as in someone's throwing a wine bottle.
Well, adult relationships like someone has to reschedule a date because they need to get a haircut and no one fucking dies or explodes or goes and stares meaningfully into the sunset for 12 hours and wonders if this person hates them after all.
How could this happen to me? Yeah. Sign of Affection's big hook, the thing about it that like sets it apart from just being another josei romance anime, though, is that one of the main characters, indeed the main character really, is well, she is deaf. I'm trying to pick my words carefully here because I know, for example, blind and unsighted are specific terms, but in her case, I believe she is very specifically deaf. Considers herself part of the deaf community. She went to a deaf school. Like it's a defined thing.
I do not know about the words in use in Japanese.
Yeah.
The subs are very clear on what term they're using, so I have to assume that's appropriate in this case.
Yeah. Now, it's very easy for me to gush about things I like, so I'm going to try and keep it relatively constrained here. This show does stuff with the premise of having a character who cannot hear and the understanding of sign language that builds between her and her language nerd paramour that excellently utilizes being an anime in a way that most realistic, like, live-action analogs can't.
I remember us watching through the intro each time for signs that we now recognize because they had been explained in the show.
Yeah,
and learning what was being said in these sequences.
Yeah, and it's not just a matter of I've learned word A, word B, word C, and now I can utilize that. It's that you realize the show, because it involves a deaf person teaching a person who does not read sign how to read sign, it involves discussions of things like the grammar and thought process of deafness in Japanese sign language. And that means that in the opening, there is a sign you will see that you aren't taught, but you are able to learn what it means by watching how they explain the grammar of things. And it is such a, like, there is a very real problem of someone like myself, a hearing person, standing aside and going, hey, look at this great work at representing deafness. And, like, I'm not even adjacent to the community.
I mean, we don't know if this is good representation. That's not for us to say.
Well, I did bring...
It's astonishingly good at showing us stuff, which is cool.
I did bring it to the attention of a deafness advocate, I think it's John Urquhart, on YouTube, who I believe did some YouTube shorts and some TikToks about it, in which generally very positive and very happy about it, but did point out one thing, in that when we see her in a monologue, it is necessarily expressed in the language of the local, of effectively the speaking person's grammar. And deaf grammar does not work the same way, so people who learn to sign think in different patterns.
But it's being narrated in a voice,
yeah.
So it falls into the language patterns that you would use while speaking.
Yeah, and then there's like a very interesting set of like nesting doll problems here, and like I don't envy anyone who couldn't pull it off, and I can understand the hey, here's a way this could be better, but I would not in any way use this as a mark against it. I don't feel like she's made to be any kind of like a subordinate character to the people around her. She is represented as
no, she's definitely the main character.
Yeah, and she's represented as like she's represented as having a disability, but that disability's problem is in how other people interact with it. In that, for example, she can communicate very comfortably and very confidently if she can write or sign. But other people are impatient about her writing and try to hurry her along, like you see in the first episode, or try to anticipate what she's saying, which that's a very interesting little detail to put in there.
Also, that one friend is a butt.
Yeah. This is another one of those ones that got me to read all the manga.
Also, that other one friend she had, the hairdresser.
Yeah.
Who is part of the opposing love triangle scenario. I mean, it's a romance anime.
Yeah, this is gonna happen.
Everyone who is not part of the main couple is in love with one of them or in love with someone who is in love with one of them, because that's how this shit works.
Yeah, it's a spider web.
But anyway, he's really hot.
Yep.
Just wanted to put that one out there, too.
We learned more about his romance in the manga, and annoyingly, he has some really killer lines. Moving on. The Demon Prince of Momochi House.
Christ. Oh, wait, I'm supposed to be naming these. Let's see. Momochi-san Chi no Ayakashi Oji.
Yeah.
Yeah, see this?
Yeah.
See how this is like, quite competently drawn hot boy art?
Yeah.
Yeah, this anime is butt ugly.
Yeah. I had to make the slides for this presentation.
Uh-huh.
And that meant finding these pictures.
Is this in fact fan art?
This is fan art, and it doesn't have the logo on it because I had to make that logo myself by finding a lookalike font.
I feel like this is quite unfair that you've made it look so much better than it is, because, folks, this anime is pervasively, like, distressingly cheap.
Hey, Fox, pitch this one to me.
Okay, I mean, the obvious answer is, my pitch is, don't watch this, it's trash.
Look, okay, yes.
But let me treat it like it deserves something.
What kind of trash is it? Like if I'm looking for trash, and I find this, what do my tastes have to be satisfied by this? And what better things are there you could think of?
Oh, it's a fruits basket.
Oh, okay. So just watch Fruit Basket.
It's a Genki girl who's going to become a house
girl?
servant. That's not a girl.
Okay, good.
That's one of the boys. They don't do this. They would not do this. In fact, those are both the same boy, I think.
Oh, okay.
If I recall correctly, that's his Yoko Kurama form, and that's his basic boy form.
Setting yourself as very squarely a mid-90s millennial anime fan, and you refer to something as the Kurama form.
I did just call this a fruits basket.
Yep.
But yeah, it's an incredibly bland, like, Otome game level of bland protagonist who finds that she owns a traditional Japanese home and tries to go and claim it, and gets told that she can't by a bunch of sexy boys who already live there.
How dare you?
And when she tries to persist and inhabit the home, that incidentally, she's an orphan, so this is the only, like, what's the word? Only possessions, only, wealth she has in the world is suddenly owning this home for reasons I am still not clear on. Anyway, and when she tries to stick around anyway, she gets, like, set upon by demons, and the hot boys have to reveal that they're demons to defend her, or some shit. It's profoundly tedious. No one here is half as hot as they need to be to carry a show that is this empty. If you want to know how bad the show is, I watched 2 episodes of this and then I actually deleted it. Which, if you have met me...
subscription.
Yes, from my subscription hard drive.
Yeah.
On my Crunchyroll server.
Yeah.
And Goblin Brain it does not like letting me start watching shows and not finish them, even when they're bad. This is, it's just joyless. And, like, the cheapness is a big part of it. Like, this is, like, right up there with the heaviest, like, budget-saving 90s things where the characters barely move and every fight scene is just some special effects overlaid over, like, 3 frames of a boy with foxtails going behind him. It's real bad.
Alright, so we definitely want to... So the recommendation is watch Fruits Basket instead. And then, if you're really jonesing for more Fruits Basket, watch the other Fruits Basket.
There's also another more different thing that people were comparing this to, which seems to be a worse Fruits Basket and therefore a better version of this. And I can't even remember what it is. But I advise that if you're desperate enough to try this out, you should go and research that and find out what it is first. It's probably better.
Rightio. And next up we have... Hokkaido Gals are super adorable.
Dosanko Gyaru wa Namaramenkoi. I see.
Yeah.
A long one. A spicy ball.
What an interesting way to describe this anime. So...
This is all you.
Yeah, so I don't think Fox watched an episode of this. I think Fox was literally just like, no, we're not touching this.
I watched the first episode of this with you.
No, you didn't. You watched the second episode because I was like, hey, is this realistic skiing?
Oh, okay, then I've seen the first and second. But I've seen the first one. I remember the bus stop and the reason he notices her is because she's like shoving a hand warmer down her titties.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the first episode of this.
So, speaking of ecchi anime about teenagers, because it's one of those.
Oh, those are so rare.
Yeah, Hokkaido Gals, the anime, right, is a anime of a manga, and when I saw the trailer and I looked at the comments, I saw someone saying, "It's a shame the plot went downhill after the point the anime ends," and I'm like, what plot? What plot can go downhill? What are you talking about? Because this show, here is your pitch. We have our main character, let's call him Weenus, for whatever reason. And he moves to Hokkaido, the suspiciously popular topic of anime and manga of late, possibly due to a push by the tourism board.
You missed the chance to call him Kitaro.
No, he's not that bad, right?
Yeah. Keep going.
But Weenus moves to live with his grandma in Hokkaido to study away from his parents. His dad is in business, his mum is in the hospital, and he is going to high school. And the show is equal parts split between, behold, Hokkaido, the glorious land of snow and rock, and here is the weird habits and peculiarities of the people who live in Hokkaido, and everyone who's been to Hokkaido or is from Hokkaido will be like, that's us all right, and then tits. And I really cannot underscore how much of this anime is just, here is a hot girl.
It is very amusing to me how much of this is essentially a tourism commercial for Hokkaido.
It's very weird how much it is.
But also, like, the Japanese title doesn't, you'll notice what word I didn't have to pronounce.
You were saying Hokkaido. Well, no, you said Dosanko. Dosanko. That's the term for a Hokkaido gal.
Yeah, that's kind of the point.
Yeah, and it's a hickish term as well. And like, so this anime, I watched this anime in the same vein as I watched Shikimori's Not Just a Cutie and Tomo-chan's Not a Girl. In that this is the first.
Tomo-chan is a girl.
Tomo-chan is a girl. Yeah, that's right. But like, these shows have just enough nothing in them that I wind up being curious and like, well, what? How do they get 12 episodes out of here? Did the animators fall asleep at any point?
This?
Yeah, who here knows you? And the thing is, sometimes that leads to something really quite wonderful, which is the utterly unhinged superstructures of Shikimori's Not Just a Cutie, which is about an assigned female at birth trans woman. It's such a strange series in hindsight. And it has like one really good moment of like, oh, okay, so the author who wrote this knows how to write romance. That's really amazing. And Tomo-chan's a girl, which is like a gag-a-day manga, which has then had to try and stretch its premise across 12 episodes of show and managing it for about 2. And then we have this, which, shockingly, for a start, it actually does a good job of setting up one really good joke. And I'm going to spoil it for you now, okay? Because it's in the last episode.
How dare!
But the story relies on our main character learning through association with both the love interest, whose name I've forgotten, and I forget the names.
I think we have forgotten everyone's name that we've talked about so far.
Well, that's the thing. I forget names in anime really easily.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I use the written form normally, and then I can like go and double check characters' names and stuff. But his love interest is genuinely like some. This is a character in a romance series that's also an ecchi series, which is to say, someone invented a character who is essentially a porn star and a romantic lead, and then dropped them into the life of someone who had no way to ever like escalate his life to the stage of like meeting someone like that deliberately. All right, so this is reality has airdropped a perfect woman on you, and you now just have to not fumble the fucking bag.
I mean, that's romance anime for the most part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're not dealing with anything that's particularly difficult. This is animated Hallmark.
Next, you're going to tell me this is for wish fulfillment purposes.
Well, no, it's to make sure you get interested in the idea of moving to Sapporo.
Come ski in Hokkaido.
Yeah. Well, you move to Sapporo and then like get a secondary house in Hokkaido and move all the way out there. Sorry, not Hokkaido. I'm thinking about my islands and cities. One of the jokes in the series is that everyone thinks, oh, he's from the big city, Sapporo? And he's like, what? Because, of course, he's from Tokyo, and therefore Sapporo is to him the boonies.
Yeah.
Anyway, and like I said, it's got jokes. This has got jokes. The thing that the series builds up to is that he learns that his very timid, cautious, and extremely city boy ways of like, don't make a fuss, don't make waves, don't do anything that makes you stand out, works against this group of women he hangs around who are all gyaru, which is to say they are people who have made a conscious choice to present. They have an aesthetic, they want to hit it, they have things they like doing, and indeed, in explaining themselves to him, they wind up explaining themselves better to themselves. So one of the characters who is doing the whole gyaru thing is also a sweaty gamer. Like, literally, those are her two character traits, gamer and sweaty. And and she keeps the gamer element hidden and keeps the gyaru element open, but then through association with him and through friendship with her, because this is one of the other things, she's nice to everyone. She is a genuinely sweet person. The sweaty gamer winds up being like, oh, hang on, I can actually like play video games at school and not worry that people are going to think that I'm weird. Doesn't change the sweaty status though. So like she still avoids PE because she doesn't like getting all gross and sweaty. But
I mean, that's just that's 100% identifiable.
Uh-huh.
Did you not try to avoid PE because sweating is disgusting?
Yeah, everyone thought that she avoided PE because she was so aloof and too cool for that. But it turns out, like, no, I get really sweaty really easily, and I don't
Stinky and gross.
I don't like being damp in a tracksuit and then walking home in the snow.
Being sweaty in the snow really sucks.
I bet.
Because then once you cool down, but you still, like, it's cold enough that you need layers on top of that. You're just damp and cold inside warm clothing. It's really bad.
Like an egg. So, the series does this arc of, like, people's presentation, people's choices, contrasting with the fact that the idea that, like, the way I am in Tokyo, which is normal to me, might actually just be wrong. Maybe it's possible there is a wrongness in my life, and I can address that. And then he gets the news that his love interest is going away to South Korea for school. And the whole last episode is one of your, like, do I do anything about it? Like, no, the appropriate thing is to not make a fuss. Don't make a fuss. Don't do anything about it. Like be cool. Oh, no, I can't.
Oh, run to the airport and tell her that she needs to come back.
And it culminates with him running to the airport,
bolting up
literally to the airport, and at the gate, he stops, he grabs her hands, and he says, I'm so sorry I didn't say this earlier. I really like you, and I want to see you again. And she's like, cool, see you in 2 weeks. Because she's going overseas for a makeup course. She's gonna be back, man.
That's neat.
This is really normal. And so
Do
all
that
of this
in high school? Wow.
So all this anxiety he has about all this is again built out of the fact that he is a character who is so unused to making a fuss that he had to basically imagine a different story happening, and that she was putting no pressure on him to do this. It's a really, really fun character arc, really good use of the story parts. Totally enjoyable show. You're gonna see so many tits. And the thing about it that, like, so I'm set up with this mindset of like, brainless fan service anime. They say the plot goes downhill in the manga? How? So I read all the manga.
See, I know where this is going, but, please.
Because the first plot arc, after she comes back from her trip to South Korea, is his mother calling him back to Tokyo because he has an emotionally abusive mother who, the second he shows up in her hospital room, holds out her hand and refuses to talk to him until he gives her his phone and unlocks it.
Horrifying.
Yike! And so this fluffy nothing of a show's second story arc is setting boundaries with my emotionally abusive, medically invalid mother.
I guess I can see why you might think that counts as plot going downhill.
You're not going to
just here for the titties.
Yeah. But also, every single issue of the manga opens with a splash page, which is like, here's a picture of one of the characters, basically naked, with Hokkaido trivia drawn on their skin. What part of Hokkaido is this from? Here's a Hokkaido quiz. Can you answer all of these different Hokkaido cities? Hint, the answers are written on her thigh. It's like, what are you doing? Who's paying for this?
I mean, clearly someone was it the Hokkaido tourism board?
Well, I have a theory about that, and at least based on the fact that I have 3 other Hokkaido shows in my backlog at the moment, but like they're not anime, they're manga, so we'll get to it. But yeah, like I don't know why there's been such this push lately, and like I don't know why this show of all things has a sudden dark swerve like that.
I mean, look, any place that is heavily dependent on tourism is probably working real hard right now.
Yeah. By the way, the third arc is about whether or not they can arrange a school play.
Very even stakes there.
I am very
We've made
fond...
a lot of fun of lesser shows for this kind of thing in the past.
Oh god, yeah. I'm very fond of this stupid tits anime. Alright, that's way too many minutes of our lives spent on Hokkaido gals are super adorable.
Cool to find out that it secretly has a thought in its head.
Yeah, and the fact that, like, one of the things it makes a point of is, like, look at me, I don't have a thought in my head, and, like, repeatedly proves you wrong on that front. It's not bad. Alright, so, there we have a little moment of joy, something that surprised us. You ready? You braced, Fox?
Oh, I have the list.
Metallic Rouge.
Metallic Rouge.
From a show that surprisingly doesn't suck to a show that, surprise, it sucks.
This gave me a moment of delight.
Yeah.
The opening, every time.
The opening is a banger. The ending is a banger. The whole thing is constructed out of, like, as an animation studio, like, people who are just really good at this, doing a really good job.
I think the designs are, for the most part, very cute and enjoyable, and the production quality is quite nice.
This show has a bi-gender, plural, non-binary trans man in it, and...
Oh shit, yeah, I forgot all about those characters.
Yeah, and it still sucks. This show is... Yeah, we were talking about... Hokkaido Gals has an extra thought in its head. This has negative thoughts in its head. This thing thinks it's smart.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like at some point there was a treatment of this that really worked and would have been an excellent show, but somewhere along the way that just got kind of lost, and we're left with a bunch of really interesting, really appealing pieces with which nothing satisfactory is done.
Let me speak of the tyranny of cause. I think this show was like a 17-episode anime treatment. And when you're at 17, you got to bulk it up to 24, or you got to cut it down to 12. And I think this got cut down to 12. No evidence for that, no proof for that. But
well, I mean, no proof. I feel like there is evidence in that there's a lot of stuff here which is paced nonsensically.
Yeah.
Like, there are parts where it's like we're clearly supposed to care a lot about the relationship between between two or more characters. Like, we're supposed to be very attached to what they've built together, but what they've built together is like 2 scenes, and you're left with, like, what you're being presented with clearly indicates that you should feel like this is something that's been going on for a long time and is like a well-established dynamic and is very meaningful and whatever, but it just isn't. You look for that depth and it's not there.
A long time ago, Benjamin Yahtzee Croshaw, in a zero punctuation video talking about Half-Life 2 Episode 2, referred to the idea of a character being introduced in a sequel who was meant to be there in the prequel as being like discovering a walrus and everyone was acting like it was normal. And this was accompanied with a caption of, "What's wrong with Uncle Tusky?"
Uncle Tusky!
And Uncle Tusky has entered our personal vernacular as a character who shows up and there's a lot missing from why they're here. And Metallic Rouge's back end has 3 Uncle Tusky parts.
That's about right.
The characters don't appear out of nowhere, but the relationships that they establish and the way they treat each other and the way other people react to them being in danger is like, you just met this fucking person.
Right, like, I guess, spoiler warning, I guess, if you care about this, but you haven't already checked it out yet. But, like, there's, I don't know, someone winds up being someone else's dad, and someone dies heroically, and someone else is like, oh, this was never actually the person you thought it was all along. They were, like, replaced by this instead of something. It was like, cool. I didn't care about any of those people. I heard them say, like, 4 lines.
Yeah. It is a remarkable example of an incredibly well-produced piece of crap.
Also, the outrageous fucking morality of... Okay,
yeah.
So this is a...
Let's go with the pitch.
Sure.
How's this go?
This is about 2 lesbians who will never kiss, one of whom is like a cool android girl, and one of whom is like a cool meat space hacker who eats all the snacks. Well, they all both eat all the snacks, actually.
As you can see, she has chips, tortilla.
Yeah, one of them is your savory and one of them is your chocolate. You see? This is very direct.
Yeah.
Anyway, and they're gonna fix the world by killing all the robots who want to have a revolution against the humans who have enslaved them. Or are they? Is that the right thing to do? Maybe that's not the right thing to do. Let's, I don't know, engage with some of them and go to their refugee camps and investigate the, like, organized crime rackets that are basically sucking out their life force to get humans high. No, it's very bad to rebel, actually. It is the right thing to do,
actually,
to kill them all. Yep.
Putting down the slave rebellion is the right thing, really.
No, we were right.
I'm an enlightened centrist.
Well, the aliens said so, so, you know, it's gotta be right, then.
The aliens who put black holes around Venus.
Also, one of these is the aliens?
Yeah.
Or working for the alien, probably both. Or the,
really is a beautiful throwback to the 90s periods of anime where plots would be completely incoherent and concluded with a bunch of people going, yada yada yada.
It's, I believe the word for it is whack.
Yeah.
It is whack.
It is extremely whack.
So, if ever you've felt like you wanted to watch something that thought of itself as being very high-minded and having a lot to say about robot oppression and, like, really made you consider the rights of something which has been created by someone but nonetheless has attained something indistinguishable from humanity on its own, you should watch Pluto.
Yeah. Are we done?
I think we're done with this.
Rightio. Because next up we have Brave Bang Bravern!
Yiki Bakatsu Bang Bravern!
Or, according to the little logo, Bang Bravern.
Yeah, sources disagree on how much bang should be in your Bravern.
All the bang.
All the bang. I mean, you're not wrong. Anything less than all of the bang would be doing this show a disservice.
So, up front, before I start anywhere on Bang Bravern, I need you to understand, gigantic asterisk. Women don't exist. Okay? Like, any praise I have, any glory this show has, any of my love for it has to be put under the giant asterisk of just saying, if a woman has turned 18, she doesn't exist, she's not part of the story, there is only a daughter, and that's it.
That's pretty true. The show is going to show you adult women.
Oh yeah, they'll be
and
present.
pretend that they're meaningful characters.
Some of them will talk.
But that is a lie, and the way you can distinguish this is because they're illustrated as being of a different species to the men in the show.
Yes.
Probably because they're not supposed to give you a boner the way that the men are.
Shall I?
Please.
This anime kicks off with a really killer premise of being a real robots, hard sci-fi kind of story about a Japanese defense force doing maneuvers with the American military in a balkanized world where everyone is using mechas to have effectively, like, not actual war, but kind of like Cold War tensions grinding against each other. So people go to a location near threatenable people and then have a military maneuver to show how bad things will be if we don't get our way. It's a very, very tense, very grim situation, very detail-oriented mecha designs. At that point, aliens invade. And then at that point, a giant towering himbo mech called Bravern shows up looking for the one man who can pilot him, puts him inside himself, and then they kill the aliens with a giant sword. This anime fucking rules.
That was a pretty good description. You missed the part where he was playing his own theme music.
That's true. Bravern plays theme music when he arrives. Bravern also gives a power suit to the guy in question because it's more stylish that way. Look, Bravern, if it was just a comedy anime about the differences in style between different types of giant robot shows, would still be just a good show. It is also remarkably clever, and when it shows it has an idea, it actually turns the idea around and looks at it in all directions. It's really quite smart, and it's using all of its smartness to be as dumb as hell, because the ways it's dumb are fun.
It is, yeah, that's about right. It's, I mean, it's himbo in the truest sense.
Yes.
Of, I choose to forego any thoughts that might make my head not empty.
Yeah.
Because only by keeping my head empty can I be as radically awesome and fucking gay as I deserve to be.
Yeah, and let me be clear. When we say gay, we mean it. This show, like, the ending of this show concludes with two of the main leads singing to each other, stripping their shirts off, then interlinking their hands and embracing in the rain.
They pretty much sing an opera to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a show about men who fall in love with men. Not I am not mincing words. I am not like, well, you can like Evangelion has some air in it.
I feel like I'm doing it a disservice by spoilering it.
Yeah.
But like it's also important. Like, I do want people to know that this is not in the realm of plausible deniability. This is not trying to guard its position.
No, it is not subtle, and you might think, haha, gay jokes at first, and then you realize, oh no, gay seriousness.
I mean, also gay jokes, but
yeah,
both.
But the kind of gay jokes you hear from someone who is themselves allowed to say it. Yeah, I really like this. This is probably one of my favorite shows. Is like, this season also has a Sign of Affection. It's not like I can't say it's my favorite show of the year, but like, this is one of the best shows of 2024. It's short, it's compressed, it doesn't mess around. Again, big problem with depicting women and doing anything.
It is a shame about the women.
But
that's pretty much the only mark against it.
But also,
well, and the fact that the guy who tortures people doesn't fucking die.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see him die.
He is humiliated.
I don't want humiliation. I want death.
He is shown to be ineffective, but you're right. Yeah, and like, if you're at all familiar with the genre of listener, if you're at all familiar with the genre of World War II era, like, schlock, Vietnam era schlock military fantasy stories and the like. Like, this guy has company man outfit, like, even down to the Hawaiian shirt. It's very funny. Anyway, did you want more on Bravern, or shall we move on?
Oh, no, I think that's about right. You should, yeah. Like I said, women only mark against this. You should check it out. If you think it sounds at all appealing to you, you will probably have a fun time.
By the way, this slide, I did have to make this myself, but only because there are so many good Bravern, wallpapers and stuff that I had to find the logo, separate it out, and like position it so that it would look good in our particular arrangement. There is no shortage of people who care about Bravern on the internet.
Yeah, good.
Anyway.
Oh, hi there. Show that's only on this list because I wanted to yell at it.
What the hell am I looking at here? According to this is a Isekai Onsen Paradise, and I know what the title looks like, so after you.
You'll have to forgive me for this. Meito Isekai no Yukai Takuki Arafo Onsen Mania Tensei Saki wa Nonbiri Onsen Tengoku deshita.
Okay, so I heard non-binary onsen in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's probably what it said.
That would be a much more interesting thing, to have a non-binary onsen.
Yeah, so I haven't watched this, but it's on this list because I heard its name and, like, the first sentence of its pitch, and I was like, ooh, checking out hot springs in a fantasy world? Just like a chill isekai thing?
Yeah,
where
like
instead
we're
of
going
being
through an
an
isekai world
overpowered whatever and having a bunch of horny slave wives, you're just, like, cruising around and checking out hot springs? That sounds lovely.
Yeah, we watched Camping in Another World.
And there's just a couple of girls on the poster, like Eurocamp. That sounds great fun. No, of course.
Eurocamp, but it's an isekai?
Right?
Killer
yeah,
premise.
Love it. That's what I was hoping Campfire Cooking in Another World would be as well. And
no.
Once again, not quite. All comes down to capitalism.
Yep.
But anyway, it's just another fucking horny harem thing where every elf in the world wants to fuck you, but it's in a hot spring this time. Fuck off, show.
The weakest tamer began a journey to pick up trash.
Saijaku tema wa gomi hiroi no tabi o hajimemashita.
I will say, having not watched it, I only just now, like, as I read that title, realized, oh, as in trash mobs. Ha! But I don't think that's the point.
No, not really. I mean, they're arguably. Look, this is another. I'm an isekai character who has the shittiest powers in the world, and everyone in the world abuses me for it. So I go off on a journey on my own, and you'll never guess. It turns out that there is a way to make my power the coolest and specialist thing in the world.
Yeah. Predestination is true and also awesome.
I'm not gonna say that's really the vibe of this one.
Oh, no,
but
it's just the vibe of the genre of, I thought I had the shit skills, but it turns out I actually have the awesome skills. Like, they're all built around the same basic idea of what if the terrible decisions you made earlier in your life, like getting an accounting degree, actually would work out better, Reginald.
And this is definitely one of the better ones, I will say that, for several reasons. First of all, because we're not just a straight-up isekai character.
Yeah.
We are a character who was born into this world and, like, grew up normally and just occasionally has, like, the whispers of an isekai ghost.
Okay.
So there's certain ideas and, like, genre-savvy sort of hints that they get now and then, but they don't just straight up have the memory of a 30-year-old who got hit by a truck because they were depressed about work. Or, you know, the most hated person in their class, but boy, they were horny for the hot girl.
I'll show them all.
I'll show them all. So that's cool. And it's also not, it doesn't ramp immediately into the world's dumbest power fantasy, and the ways in which it engages the power fantasy are not just fully grotesque. It's, if anything, it's more of like an Arslan kind of, what if you were such a nice person that the best people in the world decided you were the one worth saving kind of stuff, except the best people in the world are monsters. And in particular, the little slime, who is main character's only friend for, like, the first 4 episodes or so, is, like, you know, the weakest variety of slime. They only live for a day because they vanish with the morning dew. And the reason that she finds out that it is potentially a super powerful thing is because she, you know, protects it and nurtures it and saves it from just, you know, blowing away on the wind like it means nothing.
Aww.
So, like, it's very cute and wholesome for a lot of the setup. And our second pet character, we only have 2 pets at this stage. I don't know if there's ever going to be more of this anime, but the second pet is just a giant wolf that wins every combat ever. Which still rules.
Yeah.
But
the binary of Fox character design.
yeah. And it really only starts going downhill at the point where they seem to feel the need to develop much more of a plot, and they do this kind of intrigue thing where there's a bunch of nobles running a kidnapping ring, and you know, they need to be rooted out from the corrupt city watch and government officials and all this kind of shit. And it just sort of comes down to the slime has developed the ability to be an infallible lie detector. So there's like 2 episodes which are mostly composed of our main character just meeting a bunch of boring ass adults, peeking into their bag and going, "Is this one the bad guy?" It just there's a lot of repeating of that really bad idea.
Worst game of Cluedo.
Yeah, so like it's a real letdown once the sort of plot part of it comes to a head, but everything around that is quite likable, and there's also a lot of main character is masquerading as a boy in, you know, the typical anime way of I cut off my hair and now everyone calls me a boy, even though I look like that. But that, like, there's a repeating process of people clocking that this character is deliberately lying about themselves and keeping secrets, and going, that's okay. You're allowed to decide what information about yourself you give to strangers. And making space for her to come back to them when she can trust them. And that's also just a really nice thing to see in a fantasy story.
Yeah. It sounds quite nice. It looked so boring I couldn't even begin.
It's not exciting. But the more exciting it gets, the less good it gets. So
and like genuinely just aesthetically, like mwah.
Frankly, I had hoped for more trash gathering and less of anything else.
Alright, ready? Braced?
Yeah.
Boo!
Oh, boo!
Boo! Boo! Tomatoes! I'm throwing tomatoes.
I'm throwing potatoes.
Don't throw potatoes, we can use those.
No, they're really stinky, disgusting potatoes.
Alright, yeah, this is The Witch and the Beast. I don't want to do like a full pitch on this one because the main thing that you need to know about this is that I read ahead in the manga and went, oh wow, it just thinks women are evil.
Oh, that's very convenient because that's exactly the impression I got off the one episode that we could stand watching.
What's it called?
Oh, it's called Majo Toyaju.
Yeah, cool.
Which this one's got a literal name translation at least. That's real nice.
Yeah, this is an anime where the premise is that you have this girl investigating like witches or something, and she's got this aloof priestly partner, because what we really need to venerate more is the fucking Catholic Church as they investigate witches, and those witches, as it turns out, exist, and they're all women, and they all seem nice at first, and the big twist is, surprise, I'm actually evil, and in some cases being mind controlled by an 8-year-old in the body of a doll, which is definitely not a thing I needed the story to show me the underwear of. It's a
Christ.
It's like, it's possible you like this kind of style, and I get it. Like, I watched Witch Hunter Robin. Like, I understand that there are sometimes a vibe that clicks with you, and maybe The Witch and the Beast will click with you, but it is so hard for me to even tolerate a show where so consistently the story is a Catholic priest shows up and deploys a monster to kill a woman who is doing things with the justification of protecting her community. Like, ooh, maybe she shouldn't be stealing hands from people. Yeah, maybe. Why would she feel the need to steal hands, though? Oh, well, you see, because she's an evil witch and a woman. Ah, fuck this show.
It's very, like, not a fucking thought in its head. Like, it's just, what if witch hunts, but real?
Yeah.
Because that's, you know, that's a worthy thing that we should consider in fucking 2024 is just, but what if those witches really did evil?
I want to point to the semiotics.
Also, it's not a real fucking girl.
Well, no, yeah. She's a monster trapped in the body of a girl because another witch stole the soul of that body. It's fucking horseshit. But the thing...
Yeah, but she, like... The point is, she stops being a girl and turns into a monster whenever she has to do the fight thing. So
and
if
it's
you're
not a
keeping
girl
track,
monster.
Yeah, so, like, if you're keeping score here, that means, like, literally all the women are evil.
Could have been a really cool transgender thing there as well. Like the idea of like, oh no, I can use power, but in the process I effectively have to misgender myself. And that's traumatic, and that's got an actual interesting dimension to it.
Yeah,
Instead,
that's not what it fucking is it?
Instead, we get the show that's ostensibly about the witch and the beast, which are the character in the back there. But instead, in the foreground, leading the image, we have a smoking priest.
Ugh.
Good?
Yep.
Ah.
Aww. This broke my fucking heart.
Yeah, Butchigiri.
Butchigiri!
Butchigiri is a lot of fun stuff, and a lot of throwback stuff, and a lot of really vibrant animation, and a lot of, like, deep love of street style and expressive fashion, and I don't like how any of it holds together.
It's, what if Skate the Infinity was straight and ugly?
It's not straight.
Okay, what if it wasn't gay enough?
Yeah, what if there was a character in Skate the Infinity who held the camera constantly telling you, looking into the camera, by the way, I am feeling very heterosexual today.
I would like to see a vagina.
I am intending to say things to the girl I am interested in. Like, I get that there are characters like that, but it doesn't make you seem less gay, man.
Maybe this turns out gay in the end too.
It probably doesn't.
I don't know, maybe.
Like, Skate the Infinity didn't turn out that gay. It just, like, very obviously wanted to. It drove up to the drive-in and then hesitated and wound the window up. It's close.
Oh, look, Skate the Infinity is in the plausible deniability camp. It's no Bravern.
Yeah, it's got an air gap.
But, like, this is like, comically desperate to state that it's not gay, and it's just tedious.
Alright, so premise. We have a dude who left, and then returned, and now he has reconnected with his childhood friend in a town where all the boys do fighting, and he's not good at fighting until he finds a genie with the spirit of big dumb himbo muscles who wants to help him out with the fighting. And then at the end of the first episode, a girl he's got a crush on is ensnaring him into a situation where she gets to watch her brother beat the shit out of him because that's her kink. And at that point, Fox and I went, nah, we're done.
It's, there's so much about this show that could have made it work if it was just if both of our main characters were like 20% hotter, I probably would have watched this despite the fact that the girl character's design is horrifying. Like, she is the worst looking design I've seen in a long fucking time.
That's not even remotely close to true. You have seen so many terrible
she's
designs
atrocious.
and she blends in.
No, she sticks out. She is trying real hard to be the most off-putting girl.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, the big dumb himbo genie and all his energy, great. Really cool design.
Again, the binary of Fox character design.
Super fun. Whoever this weirdo is with the ponytails, who's clearly, like, his destined Fibro hunk buddy. Also really cool.
Uh-huh.
All of the fucking scenery in this. Oh my god.
Yeah, yep. It's been a good year for delinquent school background aesthetic.
And this one particularly has, I don't know if you could tell from the poster here, but, like, particularly has this, like, South Asian flavor, where it's, like, leaning into sort of, Indian or, I mean, Christ. It's a subcontinent, you know what I mean.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts of India.
There's a lot of parts of things that are near India that would be really upset for me to lump them in with India, but, like, aesthetically related.
Yeah.
And, like, combining that with the, like, really rundown, I would say gang infested, but not infested because they're very clearly
Delinquent.
substitute community.
Yeah.
like cool gang story.
Yeah.
And combining those two aesthetics just creates some really fucking gorgeous, vibrant, distinctive scenery that is so good to look at. And then the characters are just kind of being the characters from this show. I'm real sad about it.
Pouring one out for the show that could have been Skate the Infinity 2.
Also, brother of love interest girl who beats it, whom is engineered to beat people up for her kink, is like all of the most tedious parts of Adam from Skate the Infinity, but worse. So like he really wasn't doing it for me either.
I don't know if he's a landlord.
Okay, maybe not all of the most tedious parts. But like all of the haha he crazy vibe.
Yeah, and aesthetically it has a certain Yu Yu Hakusho-ness to it it's a really interesting kind of visual aesthetic, but I didn't want to watch it. Like it didn't encourage me to keep watching it. Yeah. And what's really wild is, and this isn't going to come up for a while yet, but I got a better version of this show, which I wasn't expecting. Good for more Fox?
Yeah.
The Fire Hunter, Season 2. And, yeah, this one's on you.
Hikari no O. Which I believe is... Well, in the show it translates that phrase to the Fire Lord. But, like, literally it's just, like, Great Flame. So, like, there's a lot of layers of, I'm gonna say reinterpretation going on of some of the phrases in this. This is wild. This is a fascinating combination of artistry and deliberate aesthetic choices, and also just feeling the budget grown at the seams in a lot of places. I couldn't stop watching this, but it would be weird to say that I really like it.
Yeah. I remember watching a point where it broke into the storyboard panels and realizing that it was either like artistic on a level I couldn't get or grappling under a budget I haven't seen since the 90s.
You know what? Yeah, it's like late period original Ava.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, okay, you're still doing something really interesting and you are thinking a lot of very big thoughts, and I'm not denying that, but also you definitely ran out of money and we can all tell.
What's it about?
This is not like so much of a grand conceptual thing, so much as, well, I mean, nukes might be very, very bad.
Yeah,
I just want to let you know this.
Yeah.
But this is like an, I guess, alternate presence, you would say, where like war escalated to the point where somebody genetically engineered some kind of plate that makes humans just fucking explode if they so much as see fire.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, everyone fucking died, and now, for some reason, there's these monsters that have, like, magical not fire in them, and if you go out and you collect that, then you can have, like, light sources and energy sources and shit, and, you know, continue to maintain an existence as a human in a world that is really outmatching you at this point, just by a tremendous degree. And it's very strongly flavored with that kind of, what's the fucking word? Oh, my weed points are in incredible danger at this stage. I've forgotten the name of the era I'm trying to talk about. No. But that post-war period where we're, like, industrializing at a tremendously rapid rate, but we still have, like, traditional forest villages that actually exist.
Yeah.
And are sort of just continuing on as normal because they're not in the fucking city. And you know, massive lack of regulations and workplace safety, and everyone's dying of the black lung. Unless they're rich, of course. And if you're rich, you're almost certainly evil. And if you're cool, you're one of these people who goes out and hunts the beasts who have magical fire in them, which is who the fire hunters are. And they all have a sick-ass dog companion. which is probably the real reason that I couldn't stop watching this show. I just like hero dogs.
Yeah, there's the poster I found has a growth moment, and so like, yep.
Have you seen enough to see the other dogs we get introduced to?
Nah.
So we have like 4 or 5
Cool.
companion dogs eventually, and one of them is a fucking like little pocket-sized Pomeranian thing who is still like a monster hunting hero dog, and
Well,
like,
all dogs are heroes.
that's great. Yeah, exactly what I was gonna say. Anyway, it's weird and melancholy and not a joyful experience whatsoever, but it's got, I don't know, it's got like a little bit of that Grave of the Fireflies energy where you kind of want it to make you sad and just make your stomach hurt, but not like, not full Grave of the Fireflies, not like, well, like eventually I stopped watching because just everyone was dead and I was sad and I had to go and sleep for a day. I still haven't seen the ending to it, so I guess I could still bottle that. But,
yeah.
like, it ramps it to infinity, and there's a lot of world building shit going on, which is very impenetrable a lot of the time, and particularly in the way that the word God is used in Japanese, which is kind of like a god as you would conceive of that in Christianity, but also really, really not. And also, they're just kind of another class of people who have magic, but they're kind of not. But they're probably also the, like, Japanese gods of legend. Like, they fill really similar roles, and they have the same kinds of names and everything. But it's just, yeah, it's a real, I mean, you just gotta watch it. If this weirdness sounds like it would appeal to you, you're probably right. And if you're going, this is already too dense for me to be interested in, and what the heck am I looking at, you're probably also right. It's certainly fucking interesting, and as an artistic work, worth experiencing, I think.
Yeah. So.
Oh, also the fucking tree people and spider people are really cool.
Oh, that sounds cool.
There's some very cool, like, non-human designs in there.
Rad. So, you might notice that there's some stuff I didn't talk about in this. Stuff I just passed over because I didn't watch it. Similar to you, there's some stuff that was, on my list that you didn't watch this season either. And this is kind of a padded out list. Like, we talked about Mashal, and like, yeah, this made me read the manga.
We talked about fucking Onsen Paradise because its name made me angry.
Yeah, so we did, however, when we realized we'd run out of new anime to watch that had the completed season, we went back and watched some older stuff.
Eee. That proved to be quite worthwhile.
Not that old, in this case. Because first up, we had Pluto, which was from 2023, and we'd just been saving it like you would a bottle of fancy drink.
Listen, not for nothing, but you need quite a time investment to watch Pluto.
Yep. 10 episodes, and they're an hour each.
And, like, this is not get up and make yourself a drink kind of anime. This is, if you're going to adapt Naoki Urasawa manga, you fucking do it right, and don't you waste my time.
Naoki Urasawa doing Tezuka.
Haha, that's a trick. You can't waste my time because you only have 10 episodes.
Yeah.
And you are not even gonna get finished if you fuck about.
Yeah. So, cards on the table, I love Pluto. I've owned the manga for years, which if you know me, in terms of, like, my ability to get invested in physical objects, it's very different to Fox's. So, like, I own 2 manga series in their entirety. One is Monster by Naoki Urasawa, and the other is Pluto by Naoki Urasawa. And, like, it's just the thing. It's the thing about how I engage with this stuff. I, like, very rarely have this kind of attachment. Pluto is my lesser favorite of the 2. I like Monster better, but Pluto is still just incredible. The story is a retelling of World's Strongest Robot from Astro Boy, which, like, I wrote an article about this where I pointed out that the very first draft of this story, but from Tezuka, is from the 60s. and then it got redid in the manga in the 70s, got did in the animation in the late 70s, got redid again in the animation in the early 80s, and then got redid again in the late 90s Astro Boy series. Like, this is a looped story, and then Urasawa...
You're not gonna not do the Strongest Robot arc.
Absolutely, and then Urasawa took it up and made the manga Pluto based on it, and then the estate of Tezuka were like, hey, do you want to be part of... Can we make the anime about this? Like, can we all pull this together? And that's why, you know, he's also working on finishing Tezuka's Lost Works and whatnot. Like, this is important to anime in an infrastructural way, not just in the way that you can point to, yeah, Tezuka basically invented the genre and that's why it's important because there's a genesis point, but rather, genesis point, and then that same person iterating on the idea. What did they execute well? What can they execute better? Then, different version, different format, different audience. Another version, different audience, different format. Times have changed. And then another version, different author. And, like, this has always...
Sorry, this is not itself funny. It just made me think it's like a good version of Evangelion.
Look, I'm not going to crap on Evangelion today. It's not one of those days. The point is that it is hard to state how important Pluto is in terms of who it has influenced before it existed, and the fact that it gets to exist at the level of quality it does with the involvement across major different media production companies, and that Netflix didn't dump it in the shorts.
I'm so fucking excited that this got what it deserved. Yeah. I mean, this is masterful.
Yeah.
This is as close to a perfect adaptation as you can be.
And, of course, because it's from Netflix right now, I have to say, in all good moral conscience, you should probably go pirate it, because they might delist it one day in a couple of years' time because of a contract dispute.
Oh, yeah, I mean, back up anything you care about.
You want to know how you can get a copy of Monster to legally watch?
Can you? Buy the DVDs, I guess. Secondhand.
You have to buy secondhand DVDs from someone in Australia.
It only got released here?
The last DVD printings of Monster, which are DVDs, not Blu-rays, are here in Australia. And other than that, like, it's not available on streaming services that you can get to legally.
That's fucking rough.
And Monster is, like, the weakest thing I can say about Monster is that Monster is pretty much shot for shot the manga. Like, they pretty much went, all right, manga panels as storyboards, go, 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 go. And, like, you don't get any different. And that also means that it's very deliberately paced. It's like 12 DVDs? It's such a long series. And then by comparison, you have Pluto, which is 10 episodes, and it does cut stuff, and it does restructure some stuff, but the stuff it restructures was either implied in the original or makes the story flow better, and it gives you a different sense of priority.
In other words, a good adaptation.
It's so good.
Like, cuts are not always bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're good.
This is also a thing that
Wow,
Fox
what a
isn't...
dumb sentence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
But, like, a thing that Fox is not going to pick up on because you don't watch dubs. But, do you remember Brow in this? The robot serial killer? Well, the robot that killed a human.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's voiced by Prost. It's so good.
Oh, wow. Now I feel kind of bad. No, look, I just don't like... It's not the fault of the actors.
Do what I did. Watch the clip of his voice lines on YouTube as their own thing. He's so good at this.
Though I do want to be very clear about that. I don't watch dubs, but it's not the fault of the actors.
Yeah. So,
This is my favorite Urasawa work.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. It's like this one character just sort of keys into everything that I like in a character. Like, I don't know. It's like ever since I was old enough to understand what a story was, these were the traits that I looked for in a character I could really enjoy.
2024, the year of Tezuka.
In fact, what Pluto did... Okay, so... watching this was great. I'm really glad I watched it. It's a perfect show. it still made me very sad and very cry because Epsilon.
Yeah. It's a Tezuka show. People are gonna die.
Well, and what it immediately made me do is just go and acquire all of Mighty... Well, specifically of Mighty Atom, because I was like, I never got to see the source material behind the dub version of this. And I know there's a lot fucking missing. Like, for example, all of Atlas, which was quite a thing. So yeah, this kind of led me on like a renaissance where I just cannonballed the show of my childhood. I only saw like 4 episodes of Astro Boy ever because it broadcasted about 3 a.m. and the only episodes I had of it were the ones that Dad taped before heading out to work a couple of days for me because my dad ruled. But my attachment to this character cannot be overstated. Astro Boy was my first life or wife crush.
Yep. And we learned a lot from Astro Boy about what it means to be a man. You be brave and gentle and wise.
And gentle and wise.
That's what you need. Rocket boots are a good optional.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you're in the Japanese, you need, what is it, laser blast hands and 10,000 horsepower. Like, they list a lot of his specs in the Japanese songs, which I feel is missing the point of the character, but hey, who am I to talk about that, I guess.
And yeah, I guess the pitch for Pluto is it's high concept, detective mystery, science fiction about robots grappling with a post-war existence. It is incredible. I can't, it's prestige drama as anime. Sorry, I'm sorry for doing a bad job of pitching it.
Every thought about artificial human rights that Metallic Rouge thought it had,
God,
Pluto actually has, because Tezuka actually had, which is why Metallic Rouge has no fucking excuse.
The Pluto sequences where Atom is talking to Dr. Tenma.
Christ. Oh, I love that he went full dickhead Tenma.
Absolutely brutal.
I was... One thing I learned when I did my rewatch of Mighty Atom was how much they softened Tenma for the 80s series. Because the version I remembered was the older black and white one where he just he makes the robot's son and then goes, "You're not my son, how dare you not be my son," and fucking sells him off and is just an absolute trash fire of a human being. And I mean, I get why they didn't do that in an 80s show aimed at children, I suppose, but that's the perfect version of the character as far as I'm concerned. That's the one that rings true. The impossible genius who is also the worst person in the world. And in Pluto, they deliver. Oh boy, they do. And it's not like the grand ending or some big twist at the end. It's just this really sad, sedate conversation between two people, and one of them gets up and goes to the bathroom and has a big cry. It's just who he fucking is. Such a good show. Also, he kind of fucks. Yeah. Like, I think that's Urasawa's vibe for him in particular, but, that Tenma fucks. Yeah. In Monster, it's worth remembering that the main character... Oh, Christ, yeah, that's a Tenma as well. That's definitely the other one. Well, yeah, he's built around a similar idea of what could make you regret doing something so wonderful as saving a child's life. And so he's named Dr. Tenma, and that guy also fucks, but in a very anxious way. Yeah. Extremely different experience. Oh, what a good show. Ready for the next? Oh, we got one more? We got one more. We got one more show that we watched together this year for the first time in 20 years. Oh, of course. We watched El Hazard, The Magnificent World, and I'm not sure if this is the right promotional poster for the right version of El Hazard. I think that's the one. I hope so, but I can't be sure, because this show is a rat's nest of commercialization. Well, I think it's the only one that's called El Hazard: The Magnificent World.
Either
'Cause
way.
the TV show, the TV show was The Wanderers, and then the other various OAV series and whatnots had different subtitles. So this would be the right one.
The 90s were a wild time.
We refer, of course, in this case to the first OAV series made for El Hazard,
Named?
named Shimpi no Sekai Eru Hazard.
Yeah. Do you want to try a pitch on this one?
This is a seminal isekai fantasy about a boy and his friends from school who accidentally get sucked into a sick-ass sort of arabesque fantasy world and all get accidental superpowers.
I know you meant arabesque as in like Arabic, but that's a ballet.
I'm just thinking of ballet. Yeah, whatever. Shut up. It's like lightly Middle Eastish, has heard of those kinds of cultures and enjoys their patterns.
And is probably pretty racist.
And music. Yeah, look, I mean, a lot of this hasn't aged spectacularly.
There are things about El Hazard that have aged better and some that have aged worse and some that are just really weird once they're removed from context.
It was, for me, a seminal cross-dressing boy fantasy show.
Yeah, that's actually part of the thing that's, like, really weird once you remove it from context. Because, you know, like, watching it again, what does the cross-dressing get you?
I mean, it gets you a cross-dressed boy.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
And
a girl accidentally gropes him and is disappointed.
Yeah, and there's, like, one plot point, one scene.
Yeah, basically.
And he keeps cross-dressing. It's like, what are we doing here?
I think they wanted him to be in a dress.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's great and all. Indeed, you know, that is indeed one of the funnier parts about this, because you got to remember, this was the mid-90s. This was in Ranma 1/2's shadow.
Yeah.
This is the period where, well, you put a boy in a dress if you can. That's peak comedy.
Well, yes, but also, see, that's the thing about the 90s. It was still very funny to put a boy in a dress,
Yep.
or otherwise have someone mistake a boy for a girl.
Yep.
But we also knew how horny it made people.
Yeah.
So we did it a lot, even
doing
when
this-
it wasn't funny.
You're doing this for the freaks, and then disguising it as comedy.
Yeah.
All right? Like,
So, like, it doesn't age well because it still kind of lands like a gay joke, but also it's definitely there for if you wanted to see that.
yeah, just to restate, by the way, like, I'm one of the freaks, right? I was here for
Oh,
this.
hell yes!
Like, I'm not...
Look, part of the reason that this sticks in my head so well is because I very distinctly remember that this describes a crystallized turning period in Young Fox's anime viewing history. Because when we first watched El Hazard at Anime Club, which is a place where you used to go to with other weebs to watch the anime purchased by the only person in the group who could afford to buy VHS tapes from Japan.
Which were called fan subs.
Which were called fan subs. I remember that we watched this and Wanderers concurrently.
Yeah.
And I liked Wanderers better because, well, the boy's cute, but I don't see why they put him in a dress in the other one. I like the one where he dresses like a boy.
And now?
And I don't know exactly how long the pivot took, but it cannot have been very long after that. Also, Gilda happened very quickly after that.
Yeah.
Who was one of my very first, I also like a girl who looks completely like a boy. This is nice.
The show itself is perfectly decent. That's the funny thing. Like this is a perfectly good show.
Yeah, we have not talked very much about the goings on, but it's all like
It's a
sort
sequence of events that contain an ending. That's pretty much it.
It's kind of like watching Blade Runner later. Like,
Yeah.
almost everything here is so of its time and thoroughly copied that you pretty much know everything that's going to happen here.
And it's also very low tech. Like, there's a lot of points where an episode is like, if you wrote it down as a storyboard, you would write it down as like 3 scenes, not as a whole episode broken into 3 parts. There's lots of points where characters run down a hall and run up a hall, and like that's not even and like some of that is animation shortcuts, because the other thing is, like, this anime got redubbed in Japan by the
That
original
was
crew.
wild to learn. Yeah, apparently the voice actors hated their original take on this.
Yeah, in part because it was all siloed off. They were all working, and basically we have one booth, and everyone goes in and has their one turn, and then we're done. It was a very different time for the way anime got made and the budgets got made. But the core of what it gives you is you have a mysterious world, you have travel across to a whole bunch of different locations, you go to the fire level, the water level, the jungle level, all that kind of stuff. And in the process, you acquire various allies and cohorts who have special elemental powers, but we don't have that much time, so you get all of them at once.
Oh, it's very RPG, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
you go and recruit the priestesses with all the different elements and gain their powers.
And it's happening before...
Then you fight the demon god.
It's happening
then
before...
you fall in love with the demon god.
Yeah, the RPG storyline structure is necessarily been... Like, it's definitely been codified. There's definitely lots of people know how Dragon Quest goes.
It's not so thoroughly crystallized around that yet.
Yeah. And the other element that bleeds into all that is that this is an isekai story that's also a stable time loop story, that's also a harem story, that's also a gender bender story, that's also a alt history story, I think. And there's a lot of stuff that you would normally look at and go like, we just build the whole story around that one thing. And none of those things at the time were so well established. It's like, oh no, I can't just use all the trope space. This is effectively like watching an explorer map out new terrain. Not necessarily completely new, not breaking any ground, but one of the first people to really draw lines between how you see how all these things get to be connected, and maybe going to a new world and experiencing new gender norms as a way that we can play with things like how we dress.
Also, the ending theme is comically gay.
Not even comically gay. I was going to bring that up as its own special note, because the ending theme isn't just a girl singing I like girls, which she definitely is. She's singing to a guy. She is singing to a guy and saying, you know, if you turned into a girl, I'd be down.
Uh-huh.
That's very specific, and it's another one of those that's so weird. Why would it do that? And it's doing that because it's an OAV series made in the mid-90s, and that means they thought their audience was just otaku men.
Yeah, that one's probably got a lot to do with drama.
There's a lot of stuff in this that makes a lot of sense when you remember that, for a start, it's being made for people who are going to pick up a VHS tape on the way out of the supermarket on a, that looks good, and it doesn't seem to be porn kind of vibe. And also, Tenchi Muyo isn't done yet.
Which also this shares some genetics with, I understand.
Yeah, they are...
I can't believe I didn't see it at the time, because it's very obvious in retrospect.
Yeah, Tenchi and El Hazard are definitely creatures from the same swamp, but Tenchi is almost this kind of refined predatorial structure of, I will do anything to get to the next level of whatever it is I need to be. Tenchi is a Star Wars franchise type show that is going to metamorphosize itself into whatever form it takes to continue to be #marketable. And El Hazard is well, I guess we're going to try everything to be good.
El Hazard, certainly the original OAV. Not so much the various other iterations of it. But certainly this first time around just very much feels like a story that someone wanted to tell.
Yeah.
Whereas Tenchi feels a lot more like a product somebody wanted to create.
Yeah. It's incredibly obvious when you go back to watch Tenchi, and maybe we'll do that sometime next year.
Well, I guess if by popular demand. But in the meantime...
I mean this year, because this is coming out in 2025.
Oh shit, yeah it is, huh?
Whoops.
Oh, whatever.
No edits, we live and die like kings.
Anyway, the show has magical invulnerable cats who can turn into body armor. That's pretty cool.
This show also has one of the things I didn't realize I would love so much this year. It has low detail, middle distant Aisha in it.
Oh, those are always fun.
She has whoever drew her faces on when she's in the middle distance, fucking amazing. Just these wonderful 3-line goober features that the other characters don't get because they're meant to be the pretty ones or the elegant ones. They have a little more detail, or they're focusing different. But Aisha looks like a fucking
Shayla.
Shayla looks like a ditto, and it's so good.
Also, just a really fun example of that curious relationship that anime has always had with tech fantasy.
Oh yeah.
That you know, serious-minded D&D type stuff really took a long fucking time to let's say come into harmony with.
Yep.
Cause like this, I mean, just looking at this poster here, one of these characters is wearing a space pirate mini dress.
Yep.
And one of them is wearing a leotard.
Yep.
And you can't see that under that she has like a staff gun for her wind powers. So like she's a magical priestess. But she's also the nerdy tech one.
Yep.
And like everyone has weird little gadgets and stuff. And it's like in no way is this in contrast with the like extremely high fantasy trappings of everything else that's going on.
One of the other things that you get out of the product that hasn't yet calcified and isn't using tropes that everyone's used 1,000 times is that there are things that they will try to milk for tension that don't work, but also there's things that you would normally be like, oh no, and now they're going to do a back and forth and it's going to be a whole thing of like, nope, no, we're not going to do that. We didn't think there was any tension to be had in like the people holding their guns and making demands at us. We didn't think of having like a back and forth. We just like, oh no, then they shot us. And then we jumped off the bridge. Like,
Nice.
Like there's it's an unpredictability that you might find refreshing.
Oh yeah, and the space bugs have laser guns, huh?
Yeah.
I forgot all about that. Oh, and the demon god is also like some kind of weird android with a fucking wind up key and
Uh-huh.
like,
Oh yeah.
there's a lot of weird tech shit going on.
Yep.
And it I don't know, it's not like that's laudable on its own merits or anything. It's not better than a different choice, but it is like it's a really interesting distinctive flavor that this is a perfect like early example of.
Cold shot though, if people are still doing remakes of 90s anime, dig whoever has the rights to this out
yeah.
and just reuse Fence of Defense's theme.
No, come on. Illusion is the better theme.
We will have a fight.
I will fight you.
And that's the first season of a very interesting to talk about year. You good?
I think we've said about all that can be said.
Rightio. See you all soon.
Bye-bye.